Hey, what's up guys, Rob here. So today we're going to be covering some pretty controversial topics, all centering on this video right here. So the too long didn't read version of events goes like this. A YouTuber named Kat uploaded this video rehashing some drama that already died down about a month ago, where she attacks this loli VTuber group and in the process spreads misinformation, slanders several parties, even says it's justified to harass these individuals, and in the wake of that video, multiple VTubers from this group have been mass flagged and suspended on Twitter, and on top of that, several members of her community have proudly shared that they reported these individuals to the FBI over fictional content. And what was her response to all this? All these criticism people are raising surrounding this video? She has said that she is much larger than these channels and they could never hope to dent her career.
Look, I'm gonna be fully honest, and this is gonna be mean. They're not big enough to put a dent in me, to be honest, okay?
So obviously there's a lot to unpack here, so let's get right into the context. We're going to be focusing on the YouTuber who made that video, a content creator named Katliente, or simply known as Kat. And you can see they have recently rebranded some of their content, in particular on YouTube, where they call themselves now a news YouTuber. Not a drama tuber, nothing like that, a news YouTuber. Now, if you look at their content generally, a lot of people are confused because for years and years, their content centered on basically trying to better content creators by sharing advice on how to grow on various social media platforms. So a lot of people are very confused as to the big shift in her content recently. You can see exactly why she's doing this. So you can see some of the videos here, recent ones. This one saying, these scam emails could end your streaming career. 1,000 views. Best free animated overlays. 1.6K views. This VTuber was scammed. 65,000 views. This VTuber copied Shy Lily's design. 109K views. The next video, Streamer Challenge Creator Royale. 400 views. So I think it's very obvious that she has garnered a lot of attention with these VTuber news and drama type videos, and it's getting way more views than her usual stuff, and clearly that is one of the primary motivations in this shift of her content from the general stream advice to VTuber and art drama type videos. Now, if you see this one in particular, this is the one that a lot of people are talking about on social media. This is a video she uploaded a few days ago titled, "This loli VTuber group started a hate campaign against another VTuber." And you can see there's a large volume of dislikes, and that's for a good reason. This video is spreading a lot of misinformation, and we're going to get into everything that happened, but let's start with the main focus here. This is on the topic of loli, okay? And as someone who clearly is a tourist to these various forms of content, she is definitely new to VTubers, she's new to anime, and it shows because her entire basis is on the fact that these people are lolis and making sometimes sexual content with that stuff. But let's start with her definition of the term loli.
There is a whole debate on the definition of loli, and I did not know this was a thing until I made my other video about potential loli baiting VTuber. Whether you think it is or not, up to you. I feel like I covered that piece in a very neutral way. Some people disagree with me. From my understanding of the term loli, I've only heard of the term loli used in a negative way, in terms of referring to people who enjoy very slightly suggestive childlike content. I have not heard of it used in a context to refer to small, petite women. Some people on the internet, under my other video, were stating that, oh, loli is just a term to refer to small, petite women. They can be of age. I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I have never heard of it used in that form until literally I posted the other video.
So right off the bat, you know things are bad when someone is interchangeably using the term loli and lolicon. It just shows that they have no idea what they're talking about. And sorry, Urban Dictionary and other places like Twitter are not reliable sources about this. You are being fed misinformation and you're believing that this is somehow a negative connotation by itself and has something to do with age and not a body type in fiction. And as always, disclaimer, it's okay if you are disgusted by this stuff. It's okay if you hate it or don't want to see it. That's totally within your rights. But you're out of your rights when you go out and harass people over this stuff. When you see a group like this and you don't like what they're doing, just block them and move on with your day. Instead, people like Kat and a lot of other people, including VTubers, have gone out of their way to launch witch hunts against these individuals, largely fueled by misinformation surrounding the term loli, which refers to a petite body type in anime, manga, and other works of fiction. So here is a good example to disprove what they're trying to claim. Like, they're trying to claim that it has to do with age. For example, Rebecca from Cyberpunk is unquestionably a loli character. She fits the definition to a T to anyone who's knowledgeable about this. And a lot of people go, wait a second, she's in her 20s, how does that work? Well, again, it has nothing to do with age. In fact, the creators of the character refer to her as a loli. So if you think I'm wrong, you're claiming that the studio who made her in Japan is also wrong, which is ridiculous. But moving on, we have several videos on her channel that just don't make any sense. She has tackled this subject of loli multiple times, and every single time, it's very clear she has no idea what she's talking about. And she even admitted in that clip we just watched that she made these videos without even knowing what the definition was before she got into it. Which, by the way, since she has learned the definition, she got the wrong definition. But this video right here, she talked about the subject out of nowhere, right? She's very foreign to this. It's a very controversial topic. It led to this VTuber getting harassed by a lot of people. And then the next video she made, she defended Taiga. So in this video, she was demonizing loli VTubers, and then she defends Taiga, who is a very open Shotokan. And he is someone who was recently banned on YouTube. He's been treated extremely unfairly over the years from many different sources, but she spent 8 minutes here defending him and basically painting him as a victim, which he is a victim in this situation. But she defended him, and she didn't even know he was a Shotokan. She could have done 1 second of research and realized that's who he was. And it's filled in her comment section where people are slandering and harassing him as a result of her making this video in the first place, not knowing the first thing about him. And here's another great example. She made this video about the VTuber Irina. 25 minutes she spent talking about this loli VTuber, who definitely is okay with lolicon stuff. It's very obvious by her account. She spends all this time defending her from people doxing her and treating her poorly, and she didn't even know that she's a loli VTuber in the first place. And she expresses her shock in the comment section like, oh, I had no idea about her. Well, I know about her. I covered some harassment she was facing over a year ago. She was harassed into oblivion by hundreds of VTubers over this Smash or Pass loli edition here, and they shared the same sentiment that Kat does in her video about the most recent loli VTuber group that she talked about. And that led to her being harassed, falsely reported, when people could have just blocked and moved on. And on top of that, this narrative of the video itself, just from the title and the thumbnail, paints a very clear picture. She has said that loli is a negative connotation in her mind. Well, she put it right in the thumbnail, so it's already starting off with a negative view of these VTubers. And then read the title. This loli VTuber group started a hate campaign against another VTuber. So they're making it very clear that there's some innocent VTuber who was attacked by this VTuber group, that they were the aggressors in the situation, and that is very clearly not the case. Now, in this situation, we have 2 primary Google Docs. That's not obviously the whole story, but you have one Google Doc that was shared about a month ago that is painting this VTuber group as these horrible harassers who were the aggressors in this situation, and it shows a lot of not safe for work content they made. They even make claims that they're sharing illegal content and breaking the law and all sorts of crazy things. And then there's a Google Doc that is a response from the girls showing the harassment they faced before they ever even responded to anything, and providing very, very important context about the situation. Now, what did Kat go with? Well, she chose one document to go with and completely ignored the statement from the girls. They went with this Google Doc right here, a deep dive into Lolipuff, the name of this VTuber group, their individual members, and proof of all their vile behavior / views. Now, this document is an absolute dumpster fire. It is being clowned on so hard, and yet this is the primary source of her entire video. This Google Doc directs everything she says, and she believes everything in it. And you can see, the person was getting clowned on. You go into the replies, it's people making fun of them for how unserious this document is, and also how ridiculous it is, and how much it's promoting harassment and false reporting. And you can see, what a brave individual. The replies are locked. They're not even letting people respond anymore and to call out some of the faultiness of this document. And if you really want to see how unserious this person is, and also how Kat is, look at the Google Doc itself. Here's the documents. At one point, can you see this? They have folders labeled Bambi, Direct CP, Bambi, Direct CP. They have folders titled CP. Are you kidding me? If they actually believed this stuff was CP, they would be committing multiple felonies doing this. It would be possession and distribution. These would be literal felonies if they actually believed this stuff was CP. And that's what they're promoting. This is how they're trying to attack these VTubers. In fact, let's look at one of the examples here. This is an example of Riri Direct CP. This is a photo of this VTuber who is an adult holding a stuffed animal. They believe this is actual CP, which, of course, like I said, they saved and then distributed and then Kat covered on her video. Very ridiculous stuff. But this whole thing relies very heavily on a false narrative, a one-sided narrative of the situation where she paints this VTuber group as the aggressors in the situation and says that this Niyumi individual is the victim and someone who was totally innocent in the situation and these loli VTubers went after with full force, when that is not the case.
They're behaving like children and starting smear campaigns. So if you completely omit all the loli stuff from this, there was one creator named Yumi who made one tweet stating their opinion, and this group got so pissed they started an insane hate campaign in their Discord. They got 2 creators banned and were trying to actively target Niyumi's partnership because of one tweet. If we completely omit all the loli stuff, that is literally what it breaks down to, which is insane. And in my personal opinion, it's really stupid.
So this is the tweet that she's referring to in that clip we just watched. She says this is all she did. This is all this Niyumi person did. It was the only thing that happened, and all of a sudden, this VTuber group launched a harassment campaign against her and many others, where she said, I'm gonna throw up. Y'all can't tell me that loli tubers don't know what they be doing. Petite women, my ass, y'all are weird. Where she has this quote from Riri saying, do you like barely legal loli tummy? And this whole thing is ridiculous because they could have just blocked and moved on, but instead they painted them as essentially pedo bait, and then we're trying to say that they're legally aged, but somehow that's problematic because of the term loli being attached to it. But it goes way further than that. That was not the first tweet or the only tweet in this situation. You had other VTubers like this Pippin Otter individual saying this: if you are following me and support these girls, please unfollow me. I'm not comfortable with grown women acting like children and being not only extremely sexual, but using slurs as well. And they quote retweeted their group here out of thin air. It wasn't like they did anything. They just made this call out post for no reason, calling them some sort of bait, right? And then also claiming they were using slurs. And here's their proof that these individuals were using slurs. This right here, a meme, by the way. And then Kat would also show another example of Bambi's supposed racism. The only issue here, by the way, is that all these VTubers in question are black. So that kind of defeats everything you're saying and just shows how ridiculous this witch hunt is. But on top of that, this is just a small snapshot of the dozens, if not hundreds, of tweets that were made in the wake of the initial call out that were saying all kinds of horrible and threatening things to these members of this VTuber group. This was before they ever made a response. On top of that, let me give you a small sample of how vile this situation got. So during this whole harassment campaign, a lot of the VTubers from the group went private. And this was the response to someone discovering that Riri, one of the members of this group, a pregnant woman, by the way, was considering or attempting to take her own life. This was a person's response to that. Maybe you should start thinking about the child in your belly and stop sexualizing children. You are literally perpetuating the situation that happened to you, stoking the fires of men and women who want to sexually harm children. What an unhinged response to seeing someone clearly distraught about being the subject of a harassment campaign. Now, going back to Kat's video, she uses this Niyumi tweet as the entire basis. This is all that they did supposedly before the VTubers in question would launch a harassment campaign. However, that wasn't the only thing Niyumi was doing. They were clearly stoking the flames. They were celebrating being blocked. I mean, it seems like they didn't have too much of a hard feelings about the situation. Or they weren't threatened or anything when they were gleefully celebrating getting blocked by these people. They were harassing, by the way. And on top of that, it seems from tweets like this, like they were encouraging people to falsely report their accounts. And they were even doing it in DMs. On top of that, someone said this loli, what are you scared of a little 4-letter word when they censored it? And Yume basically gave their description saying they're fine with loli until it's sexualized. And they replied to this user saying, keep yourself safe. Now, unless you're very new to the internet, people use this phrase as a replacement for KYS, encouraging someone to game end themselves. So they're saying this person should game end themselves over just calling out the fact that this person's scared of a 4-letter word. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, of course, there was maybe some believability to this. I don't know. I thought it was pretty obvious what they're trying to say. However, they would show up in Elara's stream. Elara earlier today had a stream where she was talking about this drama, and actually me and my wife, Darling Straub, were watching it, and Straub would confront this Nayuma girl because she showed up in the chat. She had the nerve to show up. And my wife, Straub, here tried to clarify, who were you directing that term to? When you were saying this, keep yourself safe, was it one of the girls or was it one of the other users trying to participate in this conversation, where she would directly confirm that she didn't say it to the girls, but she said it to a lolicon, LOL. So basically what she was saying is, oh, I didn't say it to the girls, I just said it to a lolicon, so it was fine. So they're actively trying to encourage someone to game end themselves over fictional content. And on top of that, they would get confronted by Elara, which I give her big props. She tried to get a real explanation out of her and really confronted her on this. And this was her final response, saying, I have nothing to add to that. I gave my opinion on lollies and told them to keep safe, which unless you were born yesterday, you're not buying that. So that was the one tweet. This was all that Kat cited in her video as proof that this was just a harassment campaign launched by these individuals. Now, this is a Discord screenshot that was used as the proof that they were the aggressors in the situation. We now know that this response came after a wave of harassment. Now, what they say here is that they want to basically report everyone who's going after this VTuber group and that you want them to graduate. They don't care, and they say insults them, all that stuff. This was bad. This was not a good move, by the way. It's something that should be condemned. Okay, they shouldn't have responded like this. But the reason I bring this up is that this is portrayed as an unhinged response to one tweet, when in reality, it was a bad response to a very large level of harassment being launched by dozens, if not hundreds of users. All of that context was left out, and this is what we got. And again, this is not something to be condoned, but I think you could understand why they were so heated in this moment. And you would understand that the members of this group would apologize for this action in their Discord server, and they would immediately take it down and apologize. But this person wouldn't know this. Kat wouldn't know this because this was contained in the Google Doc released by these girls that she completely ignored. She did not make one reference to anything, not one reference to all the harassing tweets directed towards them, nothing. She just went with the original Google Doc by the person trying to smear them, and that is it. So I think given all this context, there is a lot to unpack here, and we got a one-sided story on a very controversial set of topics where a lot of people mobilized in response to this to harass and further report these individuals from this VTuber group. And the issue here, the real heart of the issue, is that this was framed in a very, very poor way, and it led to additional harassment on a situation that died down. And the bigger issue is, it wasn't until basically the end of the video where Kat ever said, please don't go out and harass these people, which is ironic because earlier in the video, around the 10-minute mark, she says it's okay to harass people like this. So it's clearly contradictory. And on top of that, she compares the harassment, the systematic harassment that these VTubers face to the fact that she doesn't like soup.
The next person is Lullaby Lita. Yeah, why can't you act your age? Here's the thing. If you want other people to act their age, allegedly, and just like not harass, some harassment is deserved. If you are into children, you deserve harassment. Like, here's me. I don't like soup. A lot of people like to not hate on me, but they dog on me because I don't like soup. I know me not liking soup is a really niche opinion. Most people are going to dog on me for not liking soup. I do not like ramen. I do not like pho because there's soup in here. It is a niche opinion that I have. And I know that because I have this niche opinion, most people aren't going to agree with me. When I say, oh, I don't want to eat it because I don't like soup, I get a lot of people being like, oh my God, you don't like soup. How can you not like soup? Soup is so good. You should try it. It comes with the territory because I know I have a niche opinion. I'm not mad that people, make fun of me for not liking soup. I don't know, force people to understand what, like, my take, right, as to why I don't like soup. And other people don't force me to drink soup. And it is what it is. And we have a mutual existence and we call it a day. We agree to disagree on the concept of soup. And the same thing with this like loli content, it's kind of the same thing. You have enjoyment or kink. And again, this is really hard for me to say because I have my own personal opinions on this. At best, you are into something that most people are not into and that most people find weird. So therefore, you should understand that it comes with the territory that you're going to get people that don't like what you do and are going to state their opinions against you. And just mind your own fucking business and move on. Starting a smear campaign because somebody doesn't agree with you is insane because of one tweet. That's like me going out starting smear campaigns against people who like soup. You're one, fighting an uphill battle, you're not going to win. But two, it's just dumb. This is literally on a basis of opinion.
So I don't think it really surprises anyone that in wake of this video, there would be additional consequences and harassment launched towards the members of this group, beginning with this right here. 2 of the members featured in Kat's video would be mass flagged on Twitter and their accounts would be suspended. On top of that, some people in her community were boldly sharing, and this was something she shared on stream with this screenshot, they were reporting these individuals, these VTubers, to the FBI through the electronic tip form, which, by the way, is absolutely disgusting. It is a massive waste of federal resources that could go towards helping real victims of crimes. Instead, you have people at the FBI sifting through tips involving inactionable fictional content. What a waste. What an unbelievable waste. In fact, other organizations that are dedicated towards these sorts of situations have actively begged people to stop making false reports, to stop jamming up the systems. That is why they can't act on real tips, because they're wasting so much time on false reports. And this is something that Kat would be confronted with, and this was her response. False information spreads very quickly, so always check your sources. I said in the video, the author of the Google Doc reported them to the FBI. It wasn't me, with a silly little emoji attached to it, like so unserious. And the audacity of this individual to talk about false information spreading very quickly, it's just too much. And on top of that, I, like many others, want more clarifications. So your response seems very flippant to these FBI reports. And I just want to ask, and I never got an answer, just to clarify, do you condemn people wasting federal resources for fictional content? I couldn't get an answer on this one from Kat. But this is really the cherry on top. So over the past 24 hours, she has been facing a lot of criticism for many different reasons. And this was her response on stream.
Gio, I've been lurking for a while, and I don't know if you mentioned this yet. I haven't talked about the lollipop stuff. I will not talk about it on stream because I'm probably going to make a second video about it. But my Twitch will get banned if I talk about it on stream due to how sensitive the topics are. So I'm going to record it off stream. Didn't know if you mentioned, but worried with all the people that are with the lollipop group or organizing a mass report raid. Yeah, what are they going to do? Mass report me? Nice try. I've already... Look. I'm going to be fully honest, and this is going to be mean. They're not big enough to put a dent in me, to be honest, okay? I've already called out Gideon, and I had the entirety of Gideon's Stan fan base mass report me. So that their little lolly accounts is not going to put a dent into me. Okay.
So basically what she's saying is that her channel is so big compared to these VTubers she called out that they couldn't make a dent in her career. If I ever sounded this full of myself, it's time to retire. Okay, like this is absolutely crazy. The level of narcissism is through the roof. And I also think a lot of this has to do with the fact that she has never faced any real controversy in terms of her content, because let's face it, for years, she made content about how to improve your numbers as a streamer. It's very, not controversial. And now she's making these very controversial videos about topics she clearly has no idea about, and she's getting criticism and she doesn't like it and she doesn't know how to deal with it, and is getting, quite frankly, pretty arrogant at the criticism being launched her way. And if you're going to say that basically you're untouchable, okay, well, you called out a very small group of VTubers. Why don't you call out Hololive next? I mean, if you really think these things are dangerous, one of the biggest VTubers in the world, in fact, the biggest VTuber in the world, are open lolicons. So why don't you go after them next? Go after Hololive. Go after Gargura. I mean, you're untouchable, right? If you're truly believing in what you're saying, If you ignore Hololive and much bigger VTubers who support this kind of stuff, you're full of it. You're a hypocrite and you're a coward. But you say you're untouchable, so we'll wait on the big Hololive expose in the coming days, I'm sure. But on top of that, if you don't want to go after the Hololive VTubers, other big VTubers in the scene, you can go after some of the creators of the games that you openly say you play, like Nikke, Genshin, Honkai, Azur Lane, so on and so forth. Games that feature sexualized loli characters, and yet you support and play these games. It's very, very hypocritical. But that is the situation for now. A very, very messy and controversial situation indeed. But as always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.